Hey, welcome to the channel. If you're confused about Hotwire, Turbo, or Stimulus.js, you're in the right place because in this video we're going to look at how to build a drag and drop feature using Hotwire's Stimulus.js and Turbo streams. I'm building this note-taking application with Rails 7, and I wanted to take advantage of the new features that come with the new version of Rails, namely Hotwire. I've built this kind of drag and drop feature many times before using various flavors of JavaScript, but never using Stimulus.js or Turbo. So we're going to look at how to create event handlers with Stimulus.js, how to bind events to those handlers, and how to render the response without doing a full page reload. But before we get going, I want you to know that you're in good hands. I'm a seasoned Ruby on Rails developer with over a decade of experience building professional web applications. In other words, I know what I'm talking about. And if you're new to Rails 7 and Hotwire, I made a video about how to create a new Rails project from scratch, which I'm going to link in the description. The application I'm building is a note-taking application that tries to mimic the experience of taking notes on paper and organizing them for discoverability, much like Niklas Luhmann did with his Zettelkasten. If you've never heard of Niklas Luhmann before, I'll put a link in the description so you can read more about him if you like to. But basically, he was a highly productive social scientist, and he published 50 books and 600 articles using this note-taking system. I'm also going to link to a book that describes his note-taking method called How to Take Smart Notes by Zonke Arends. The idea is that you build up a database of ideas which you can link together to form a network of insights optimized for discoverability. If you're the kind of person that reads a lot, you've probably noticed that you also forget a lot of what you read. So by taking notes like this, you make sure that you store important ideas in a place that not only would store them, but also surface them later so you can stumble upon them by accident. And the way I've modeled the app is with three types of database models. The first one is called a note, which in Zonke Arends' book is called a fleeting note. And it's used to quickly jot down ideas so you don't forget about them. But then it's either moved to an insight or deleted. So these types of notes are not meant to be stored long-term. The second type of note is the literature note, which is used to capture ideas you pick up from books, articles, courses, tutorials, etc. You keep these as references, but you also use them to distill the material you've read and come up with your own insights. And finally, the last one is the insight, which is the most important because it's the building block for the entire system. These are stored long-term and they can link to other insights and literature notes. The way I've set up this model is with the self-referencing association to create the links between the insight notes. So there's a join table with a column called Insight ID and another one called Node ID. Then I've created an insights link model which belongs to insight and belongs to node as well. And in the insight model, I define the has-many association with this join model, like this. So when you add an insight record to the insights association, it will set both columns to the appropriate values. Just to illustrate this, if I have two insight nodes created, I can assign one to the other, and you can see that there is a new notes link record that holds the correct IDs for both. So we can create the different kinds of notes without a problem, and there's nothing special about it really. It's just a regular Rails app you've probably built 1,000 times before. But what is slightly challenging about it is the drag and drop feature, simply because I want to build it using Stimulus.js and I've never done that before. So when you drag one node over the other and drop it, you will see a two-way link happening between the nodes. This will allow me to discover nodes that are linked together, so when I visit one node, I will be able to see the links to other nodes or even the nodes themselves, but that feature is not built yet. Okay, so let's look at how this works under the hood. The bulk of the JavaScript logic lives inside the nodes controller.js file, and it's imported via the index file. Inside this nodes controller, we have some event handling going on, namely there's a function defined for each type of event we want to handle. So for example, the drag start function will handle the drag start event and it will set a lower opacity for the element that is being dragged. It will also keep a record of the source element because we will need it later when we drop the node. I'm also setting some data transfer attributes like the move effect and the data that's being dragged. When I hover over the target zone, I'm also setting a subtle border and a different background color to emphasize the target area. And when I drop the node, I'm sending an AJAX request to the node links controller to link the two nodes. And here's where I'm using that source element I've set in the drag start function. You'll also note there's some housekeeping stuff going on as well, like resetting the opacity when we're done or preventing the default handling on drag over and drag enter because it's required for some reason. And lastly, I'm removing the border and the dimmed background when I leave the area of a note. Now you've probably noticed something weird about the AJAX request, namely the fact that that accept header is set to the new turbo stream type. By setting that header, Rails will recognize this request as being a turbo stream request, and you could handle the request differently if you want to. I'm treating all requests the same, so that header is not technically necessary. I'm also setting the content type header to JSON, and I'm fetching the CSRF token from the DOM and passing it along with the request because Rails will check for it. Now, instead of relying on the built-in Hotwire magic to handle the response automatically, I need to pass the response to the turbo render stream message function manually. Rails does this automatically for form submissions, but I couldn't find a way to make it work with custom AJAX requests. So that's all good, and if you've worked with JavaScript for any period of time, you're probably familiar with everything in here. But how does this JavaScript code get bound to the DOM nodes? Well, that's where the magic happens. And if we weren't building a drag and drop feature, which is pretty much all custom JavaScript, there would be a lot more magic going on. So we've got this nodes controller, right? And we need to tell Rails that we want to bind it to a specific DOM element. Well, we can use this data controller attribute and give it a name for the stimulus controller we want to use. The element that the controller is connected to and all of its children become the controller's scope. Then, for the event handlers, we have the data action attribute, where we can set all the events that we want to handle and the functions they should be handled by. So as you can see here, I've added all those drag start, drag end, drop, drag enter, drag leave, and drag over events, and they will call the respective function inside the nodes controller. The syntax here is first you have the JavaScript event name, followed by this arrow, and then you have the stimulus controller name and the name of the function. You'll also notice here there's a data nodes target attribute which is used to make the DOM node available inside the stimulus controller. And if we take a look at the controller, we'll see it at the top of the class definition. You can have more than one target, and you can reference it by its name followed by the target suffix, just like we do here in the reset opacity function. You have access to both the singular version of the target or an array with all the matched targets. And since I have many nodes on the page, I'm using the array version to loop through all of them and reset their opacity. What you don't see here in the stimulus controller is the lifecycle callback functions, because I'm not using them. But you can basically hook into lifecycle events if you need to perform some actions. You can read all about that in the stimulus documentation. But now let's look at turbo streams. Turbo streams allows you to update the page without needing a full page reload. They are basically small HTML fragments sent over WebSockets or server-side events that you can use to update the DOM. And you can decide what each fragment is supposed to do. You can replace, update, insert, and remove page content through these HTML fragments. And if you're using form submissions and link clicks, it just works without you needing to handle the response or anything. It's going to take the response from the server and update the DOM automatically. But the way I'm using it here doesn't work out of the box, so I need to pass the response to the turbo render stream message function. So if I take a note and drag it over another, you'll see the request is of type turbo stream, and the response consists of two fragments, one for each of the nodes. They're using the update action to update the contents of each of the divs. In the Rails controller, the create action finds both the source and the target nodes and creates the two-way association between them. Then it assigns them to the node's instance variable. In the create actions template, which has a different extension for turbo streams, I'm iterating over the nodes and I'm creating a different fragment for each one. So that's why we see the fragments in the response. So that's pretty much everything that's going on here. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'll be posting a lot more videos just like this one. Bye!